Alrighty, everybody. We're getting started here. Gonna get my chat set up. Kind of need you guys to talk to me so I can talk to you. It kind of doesn't work if there's not that communication factor. So let me set that up here real quick. Just a tiny detail. There we go. All right. So let's do this here. Drag these over. I can't do this part before I go live. Otherwise, I would, because it seems a little bit annoying for me to do it each time. But I promise you there's a reason. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to move back a little bit. Let's do this, everybody. And if we lift the camera up. There we go. That looks even. Perfect. All right. So now there's been an earthquake here and everything's kind of at a weird angle. No. In fact, let me move this down here. Camera legs on this are kind of weird. I think I'm getting it. Okay. And there we go. All right, everybody. So everyone, welcome to the channel. We're just going to be doing some tarot readings here. Hopefully you guys can see me looking in the camera. And so let's kind of start, and we can just talk about some different stuff here. So let me zoom in. There we go. All right. So when we're talking about doing these tarot readings, we have to talk about, of course, the kind of cards that we'll be setting up here. All right. I get a little finicky looking into the camera here, but this helps me to see. Okay, so let's get started on doing this. So let's shuffle the cards here. And I'm basically just going to be pulling cards and reading the cards how I feel they should be read in different kinds of situations. So if you guys want to do questions, which is encouraged, then you guys can feel free to do so. But if not, you can just kind of hear me talk about what these different cards can mean, because there's a lot of different symbology with different cards, right? There's a lot of the archetypes that we're talking about here. Hey Joe, what do you know? How's it going, my friend? Welcome to the channel, by the way. So yeah, there's a lot of different kind of archetypes. So Joe, my friend, here's what I can offer you. I do readings here, and I do ask if it's a spiritual question you're wondering about, that won't cost anything. But if it's like a relationship question or a financial question, something you stand to gain from, it's $10 a question. So if you feel free, or if you feel like you want to do that, we can absolutely do that. I'm just letting you know ahead of time, so you're not on here waiting forever trying to see what's going on. But I try to do my readings as fair and as good and accurate as I possibly can. So, yeah. All right, let's see what cards we get. Let's do a couple more shuffles here. So this deck right here, this is the Fountain Tarot. Okay, Joe. So again, if it's a spiritual question, like how do I do this or how do I do that? How do I meditate? Something about psychic ability, stuff like that. No charge. But if you're wanting a spiritual message, do you see what I'm saying? That would be me kind of reading the cards and having to go into that. So hopefully you can understand that. Or trying to do psychic information that way. So if spiritual question is okay, like how do I meditate or how can I do this? Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Let's see what we get here. One more shuffle. And then, like I said, we'll look at the different meanings of the card as we're kind of doing this. So, our first card is going to be Five of Cups. This one is in reverse. Okay. And you'll see someone standing here. So the Five of Cups is an interesting card. To me, the Five of Cups is a card about, it's a card about hardships. It's a card about going through a lot, kind of going through an emotional journey. Maybe we're tired. Maybe we're feeling like we're not able to go on here. So hold on one second, you guys. So, okay, Joe. All right, so how do you meditate? That's a good question. So one of the first things we can do, a lot of people talk about meditating like it's something that happens very, very quickly, right? My message screen is right over here. So if you see me looking this way, I'm seeing if there's any messages, and then my camera is right here. So if you see me darting back and forth, that's what's going on. Okay, so when we're talking about meditation, the first thing that we can do is we can focus more on allowing ourselves to relax. That's the very, very first thing in meditation. But if we can't relax, that's going to make it harder for us to do the meditation. So something we can do when we're looking at meditating is, first off, not putting any expectations on it. We're not meditating to necessarily gain anything except maybe peace of mind, maybe have relaxation. So that's something we can do. Another thing is that there's a lot of people out there, a lot of gurus and people like that tell you to meditate for 30 or 40 minutes a day. Okay. And that's not doable, especially if you've never meditated before or if you don't have that much experience meditating. What I always tell people when we talk about meditation is for you to start out, maybe try clearing your mind for 5 seconds. Okay. And then when that starts to work, then you can try clearing your mind for 10 seconds. And then you can work up on clearing your mind and having it be clear so that you can meditate and relax into that meditation. But for those people that are saying try, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes at a time, any new skill we have to build up slowly. So do what's called chunking and have it be just small little steps at a time. Okay, when we're talking about meditation, and this applies to any skill that we're wanting to learn, do not feel like we have to do it all at once, because that can lead to, self-sabotage and things of that nature. So that's going to be what we can talk about. And then we can talk about relaxing the body is the first thing that we can talk about with meditation. So we need to do breathing exercises. That's something that can really help us relax. That's something that can help us center ourselves. And the breathing exercises can be really simple. There's one that I can recommend. Okay. We breathe in to the count of 4. So like seconds, like we count 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're taking an inhale. And you can do this. You do this in your mind. Okay. If you're inhaling and counting, it sounds kind of demonic and weird. You don't want to go 1, 2, 3, you don't want to do that. So don't do that. But say it in your head, count to 4, right? And then hold your breath for 4 seconds. Okay. And then after you hold your breath for 4 seconds, then release for 4 seconds. And that's the 4-4-4 method. And that helps to relax us. When we start to relax and our body starts to relax, it's easier for us to meditate. A lot of times when we try to meditate, we bring stress in with us. And that makes it really difficult for us to relax and to let go. And so meditation becomes kind of like a chore. It becomes something that's not necessarily fun for us to do. So that's what I'm talking about here. So, Joe, does that help? Do you have another question on that? I just want to know that you're understanding it. And if you're not, let me know what I can clarify. Another drink. Because that's all it is. Meditation is just kind of taking our attention and focusing it inward. And then if we want to, eventually when we've developed meditation to a certain level, perfect, okay. Yeah, so Joe, try it in, like I said, bite-sized increments. And you can take your phone. Don't take your phone and set a timer for when you're first starting out, because 5 seconds and then your timer going off, By the time you put the phone down, you're going to be lifting it up and setting it again. So just allow yourself to be clear-minded, okay? And another exercise that we can do, because this represents going from the conscious into the subconscious mind, is we can focus on counting from 100 down to 0. And what that does is each number that we count backwards from, so we count from 100, 99, 98, so we count all the way down to 0. What that does is it takes us further and further into kind of our subconscious mind. It takes us into a more calm state, and it allows us to deeply relax. So that's something we can try too. Another thing we can try is if we're laying down, or even if we're standing up, it really doesn't matter. But if we're laying down, hold on one second. There we go. If we're laying down or standing up, or not standing up, if you can meditate standing up, that's impressive. Yeah, and anyway, so if you are meditating, you're laying down, you can tense your muscles, and then you can relax them. And what that does is it puts a tension on a certain part of your body, but it also allows you to relax that part of your body. So for instance, right, if I'm focusing on my hands, I can go like this, and then I can relax them. And what that does is I'm kind of giving my muscles permission to really relax. By stretching and then relaxing completely, I'm going to be relaxing my muscles more than if I was just saying, okay, and now my muscles are relaxed. And you can do that on all parts of your body, like focus on creating a teeny bit of tension in the body and then releasing. And that's going to help your body get into more of a state where you can meditate, where you can feel a sense of calm and flow. So that's something that we can talk about there. So give it a shot, you know, and if you want to, you can come back on here. You can tell me sort of the results you had. And if you feel like you didn't have any results, realize that meditation isn't necessarily about getting somewhere, but it's about getting to know yourself. It's about getting to know kind of your aura. It's about getting to know you. So you're not going to fail at it, right? It's something that we can continually practice on. And so if it is hard for you, please don't beat yourself up, especially in the first parts of this. Let yourself just experience it. Have fun with it. Treat it like you're a kid and you're playing. Don't treat it like you're trying to get a result, because that's not what we're aiming for, okay? Hopefully that helps. Hopefully that gives you some insight there. Okay, so we have this card here, right? So this is 5 of Cups in reverse. Now, 5 of Cups upright. We talked about this. It could be emotional struggles, okay? It could be actually quite a few things. Emotional struggles. I feel like when I see this card in reverse, it could be the end of an emotional journey. So what that means is that maybe you're with a partner, okay, because this is the emotion card. 5 of Cups is emotion, okay? Cups in general is emotion. Talks about water. Water flows, right? And so when we're talking about flowing, when we're talking about that kind of thing, 5 of Cups in reverse is kind of like maybe the end of a rough situation. Maybe we've, in my opinion, right, I read this card, we're forgiving a betrayal, or we're forgiving something that could have happened to us. Maybe there was a deeply personal thing and we're learning how to forgive. Not necessarily forget, okay, because that's an important part. Forgiving is saying that what the person did, in my opinion, it should go like this. What the person did, I'm not going to forget, and I don't agree with, but I don't want to hold on to this feeling anymore. I want to let it go because of me. I'm not letting it go, and I'm not forgiving because what that person did was okay, but I want to let go of the anger. I want to let go of the resentment I have because this is a really hard thing for me to carry, and it's time for me to set this down. And we can release and we can let go. So seeing this in reverse, it's sort of like we're giving something up. But it's a really good thing that we're giving up, because then we're gaining a sense of peace and serenity in return. At first, it's not going to feel that way. It's going to feel like we should hold on to things. We should be angry. We should be someone who makes it so that never happens to us again. But the way that we can make it never happen again is to look at the signs, to look at how people have treated us, and to say that we deserve better, that we deserve more. So that's something we can talk about with the 5 of Cups in reverse. Now, in a love reading, okay, this could be forgiving a betrayal of the heart, right? This could be forgiving the betrayal of a romantic partner, Okay, that's the way I see this. In a financial reading, this could be possibly making money after a very, very difficult time. So it could be it could be that you went through a very, very dry patch when it came to making money. Maybe your business was flailing for a bit, or maybe it was just very difficult for you to make any sort of income. And now it feels like things can sort of start moving forward. So the Five of Cups is a card that's kind of like any of the five cards, basically. Hey, Kiru, how are you doing? Any of the five cards, basically, are kind of like ruin cards, okay? Not bad cards, but when I say ruin, it's like the Five of Pentacles, okay, is like financial ruin. The Five of Cups is like emotional ruin. The Five of Swords is... It's because each of these cards, okay, each of these cards is focusing on an aspect of being in the middle. And whenever a card is kind of in the middle of its journey, that's usually the hardest part of its journey. So when we start out on the journey, the Ace of Wands, Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Wands, Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Cups, and Ace of Swords, those cards are usually easy. It's like I'm starting a new relationship. I'm thinking in a new way. Awesome. Perfect, Joe, perfect. But when we're talking about that, and I'm glad you're doing well, Kiru, that's awesome. That's awesome. So the first of the journey, the first of the tarot cards, is usually easy. New way of making money, if it's the Ace of Pentacles, new way, or a new love, okay, a new relationship, a new way of thinking, or feeling good, feeling like it's a new start, a fresh start emotionally with maybe someone or a relationship. As we go through the tarot, as we go through these different cards and what they can mean, it's like you're taking a journey with the cards, okay? So then you have the Two of Cups. The Two of Cups is kind of like, oh, I can bring someone else into this. I can bring another person into this situation. It could be a romantic situation, right? So the Two of Cups is a powerful card that way. It's similar to the Major Arcana, the Lovers, which we can talk about here in a second. Now, we have the Two of Swords. Okay, this can represent needing to think in possibly a different way. That's where there's kind of these caveats with each of these cards, and the only way we learn each of these cards is to just sort of immerse ourselves in it, right? Don't expect to grab onto everything immediately, because the way I read cards, I read the reversal and I read the upright. Okay, each one can mean something different. And if that's the case, then that would mean I think there would be 156 different meanings for each of the, like if you had all the cards. And so if it feels like it's too much to memorize, if it feels like that's too much, then instead learn to flow with it, watch how other people read, and kind of through an osmosis, right? You'll sort of absorb it over time, because if you're passionate about it, sometimes I feel like learning from a book or learning from another source doesn't quite give you what you're looking for. So focus on allowing yourself to learn in a way that's fun for you. Okay, so Five of Cups let's say Five of Cups in reverse in a spiritual reading, all right? So Five of Cups in reverse in a spiritual reading, the first thing I'm hearing is it's like a broken promise. Maybe it's a promise we made to the universe, or maybe it's something we set up, but it feels like a promise has been broken and something has hit us in a spiritual way. So it feels like we're being tested in a spiritual way. It's not a bad test, okay? I want to make that absolutely clear. Not a bad test, but it feels like we're being tested, and a lot of times when we're being tested, it does not feel good. It doesn't feel like this bright and sunshiny feeling, but usually it turns out well. Because we have to remember this card is in reverse. The Five of Cups is a harsh card anyway. When it's in reverse, to me, it's getting over the harshness, but it's like not quite there yet. But there is some sunshine that's going to be coming in. You know, just walk a little bit further, go a little bit farther, and you'll be able to see the light coming into the tunnel, if that makes sense. Okay. So let's look at another card here. Okay. Now this deck I'm using, this is the Fountain Oracle. Very, very pretty deck. And I can show you this right here. Okay, they're like a silver shimmery. There we go, now you can see it. They're like a silver shimmery kind of deck, and super easy to shuffle. If you guys are looking for cards that to me have good meanings. They're easy to work with. I would definitely say Fountain Tarot is one of my favorites. Okay, now I'm just looking at something really super fast. If you guys have any questions about the cards or about anything like that, please let me know, because we can totally address those questions. Okay. Kurt, how you doing, buddy? Okay, so everyone that's watching now, so I do charge for questions. If you guys want, it's $10 a question. I have my links down below that you guys can look at. But I also have this right here, so I can put this up. And so if that helps you, I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. I'm actually going to zoom the camera out a little bit so you can see me a little bit more. Okay, there we go. So, yeah, I do. It's $10 for a reading. If that feels like something you're comfortable with, let me know. You can sort of tune in and see how I work. If you guys are kind of suspicious, you're wondering what's going on, see how I work and then kind of make a decision from there. If you pay through Cashapp or PayPal, if for some reason I'm not able to do your reading, something happens, I give you a refund. So please don't think it's like I'm taking money here, because if for whatever reason, it's incredibly rare that I have to give a refund, but I have no problem doing it. But I can only do that through Cashapp or PayPal. If you super chat, you know what I mean? It's not, I can't refund anything. I just have this as a safety measure. Okay. All right. And let's look at another card. Let's look at another card here, guys, and let's kind of focus here. Now, if you guys want to, when I show you this card, you can say something. You can say what you feel like the card represents. You can say what you feel like it means. Hi, can I ask a question for free? If you're doing that, can I be added, please? Hey, Exina, so I'm not doing free questions, but thank you for coming on here. I've seen you on here before, so thanks for coming on here. Just, I'm not doing free questions. I feel like it's fair to be paid for my time. So if I'm doing any questions, I do ask for compensation. Hopefully you guys can understand that. You know, you would pay an electrician or something else. Not that I'm an electrician, but you understand. There's like a service thing going on here. So hopefully that's okay with you guys. All right, let's look at another card. Okay, so how would we read this card? We have 8 of coins. Okay. Now, 8 of coins in this card. We have the Maroon 5 lead singer. He's putting something together here. And he's getting it going. He's putting something together. So this card, the 8 is a very interesting card. It can kind of be a card of self-mastery, right? This can be a card in the physical, generally. So we could be mastering a skill set. We could be getting stronger. I could almost view this card, when it's in reverse, we'll read that too, because that's how it came out. But I read the 8 of Pentacles, okay? I read the 8 of Pentacles kind of like a, how would you put this? It is a sense of self-mastery. It can be a sense of getting stronger after being sick. And I feel like that seems like a weird interpretation, a weird meaning. But if you guys get a card and something comes into your mind, go with it, okay? This can also be a card of maybe we're surrendering to the process a little bit. We're not giving up, but we're allowing things to take their course, and then we can kind of slide in and we can take care of the rest. But we need to allow things to happen in order for things to happen. If we hold on tightly to everything that comes our way, we are not able to grab onto any opportunities because our fists are already closed. And a closed fist, it's kind of hard to grab stuff. I mean, you know, you can't really do it. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about here. Hi, Priya Koth. So it's $10 a question. So hopefully that works with you. But okay, so let's look here. So the 8 of coins in reverse could be that we're putting off learning something that we feel like we should be learning. Okay, I don't know if you guys have ever done this before. I know I have. I've been very guilty of knowing damn well there's something that I could be doing, and instead not doing it. Okay, so it's definitely that kind of card where it's kind of looking at you and saying, you know what, you should be doing this. You should be focusing on maybe bettering a skill set, maybe understanding something more, maybe reading, maybe being more productive, right? And that doesn't mean that humans, in my opinion, should always be productive, but there is time for productivity. And this card can kind of call us out if maybe we're being a little lazy or a little too self-indulgent with our time. So, in a financial reading, I would read this card, if it's in reverse, Eight of Coins in reverse, I would read this card as maybe we're spending money foolishly. Like maybe we're spending money a little too quickly. We wait a while to get it, and then when it comes in, we spend it right away, and then we're out of money again. So that could be a kind of situation that we're talking about here. There could also be something where we could be using this money, and instead of maybe paying off a debt or paying off something that's going on, or maybe even paying back a friend, we're using it for other things. And then we're like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have the money. And so we could be squandering something. That's the way I would read this. In a love reading, it could be that things are actually falling apart. Like literally, this card in reverse, this person isn't building. This person is trying not to fall upside down. He's holding on to that little piece of pole there. He's not doing a very good job. He's still gonna fall. But to me, this is a card where things could fall apart in a relationship reading. It's a card where things aren't connecting with the two people. So it's like there's this little bit of a disconnect over time. If that disconnect is not addressed, people just drift away. People just leave. And so it's important for us to look at what's causing a disconnect and then see if we can try and fix it. And also, what we can do about it in the meantime. Sometimes we can't fix it. We have to make the best of the situation for what it is. And so read those situations as it comes to that kind of thing. Okay, spiritual reading for the Eight of Coins in reverse. This to me would be a card where, again, we're not applying the steps. We're not applying what we need to have done. So, for an example, if I'm wanting to learn a spiritual ability, okay, tarot reading, dream analysis, psychic ability, learning the zodiac, numerology, I can probably go on for another hour, but there's so many different things we can learn. But instead of learning something, maybe we're distracting ourselves with other things. Maybe we really want to do what it is we want to do in the spiritual realm, but we feel intimidated. We could feel overwhelmed, and that could be difficult for us to make a plan, right? So it's kind of like, okay, I want to learn this ability. And then you think, well, why do I want to learn it? And then you think, well, I want to help people. And then you think, I also want to help myself too. I wouldn't mind making money from it. It wouldn't be a bad idea. And what I'm saying is we can overthink a situation, right? Instead of taking the skill and learning it and just understanding it at a basic level and then eventually getting more of an understanding, we put the cart before the horse. We do this kind of situation where we are not allowing ourselves to be new at this. Instead, we feel like we can have a chip on our shoulder, we know everything already, and it can be that kind of situation where we're really hard to teach because we are afraid to be humble, we're afraid to be vulnerable. So that can be something that we're talking about in a possible spiritual reading. Now, let's read the card upright. I feel like that seems fair. We've talked about kind of the darker aspect, and dark doesn't mean negative. It's just the darker aspect to the aspect of light. So that's what we're talking about here. All right. So Eight of Coins. Eight of Coins upright. Okay, financial reading. That's where this kind of comes in. The pentacles are about earthly attainment is what I would describe them. And when I say earthly attainment, it's kind of like, in my opinion, skill sets are an earthly attainment, like learning a new skill. That can also be the wand suit as well. But I don't feel like we learn the same way after we're gone, after we've passed on. So I feel like a skill set is an earthly situation here. Okay, hold on. All right. Give me 1 second here. Okay. So we have the earthly skill set. Learning in an earthly way, learning in a contrastic kind of way. So humans learn through comparison, this versus that. And we've talked about that before, light versus dark, left versus right, white versus black. There's these kinds of ways that we learn. And it's a situation of trying to understand the duality, right? So when we have the Eight of Coins in a financial reading, things are coming together, things are moving forward in a good way. So this could be finally that loan came in. Finally, I can build something. I can build the thing I've been wanting to build. I can buy the thing I've been wanting to buy. It's like allowing things to slide in and allowing ourselves to have fun in that process, so to speak. Okay. Eight of Coins in a love reading could be that we've been trying to learn new ways of communicating, right? It could be that we're trying to learn new ways of being in the relationship or being in something, and we're allowing things to happen. We're allowing the building blocks to start, okay? Because a relationship can be something where people aren't always on the same page. The Eight of Coins, if I saw this in a love reading, it would say something along the lines of, I may not always be on the same page with you, but I'm willing to work. I'm willing to try to see what we can do in this kind of situation. Okay, so it's a really good card to have, I feel like, in any of these readings. In a spiritual reading, things coming together, us learning skills, us having a way for us to practice, a way for us to learn, a way for us to understand our abilities. Okay, so that's a really good way we can look at it too. All right, so let's look at this card here. And we have Two of Wands in reverse. It's kind of hard to see. So you'll notice it's a hand holding chopsticks, and then in the other, like in the fingers there's a little bit of a crystal ball. So when we're looking at this card, okay, I'll read it I'll read it reversed first, because I feel like that's the way it came out, so let's read it that way. Okay, so the Two of Wands is a card of maybe we have to choose between two things we're passionate about, okay? Now, when this card is in reverse, instead of having the choice to choose between two things, we could be forced to choose something. Or we could be in a situation where we need to do something. We need to do something about one of our passions. We need to do something, but we're not taking the opportunity to do anything, okay? I know that sounds vague, but it's like, imagine you were going to go to 2 different acting studios or something like that, okay? But like you had a choice of going to one or the other acting school, but time goes by and both of those options drop through, and then you can't choose anymore because those options are closed to you. So Two of Wands in reverse can be a card of hesitation. It can be a card of not necessarily taking the next step we need to take, or maybe taking too much time, because in the Two of Wands, there's actually 3 situations, okay? You can go left, you can take the left acting studio, or you can go with option B, you can take the right acting studio, or there's a third option where you don't do anything. You just stay where you are and you don't go left or right, you just stay there, and eventually an option is made for you, and usually it's not the one you want, okay? But sometimes through hesitation, we can learn what it is we do want. So hesitation itself isn't a bad thing. If we're chronically hesitating, though, that can lead to other issues. But let's look at this here. So Two of Wands in reverse, okay? Two of Wands in reverse, this is a card where there can be hesitation on decision making. So if we're looking at this into a financial situation, Two of Wands in reverse would be not being able to, maybe we're not able to receive what it is that we want. Like, for instance, we're not able to receive funding. We're not able to receive for something to move along in a way. Or we could have possibly Two of Wands could also be in reverse. It could also be in a business relationship. Maybe the person that we're partnering up with, maybe they don't feel like they're necessarily trustworthy. maybe there could be something underlying where neither one of us is understanding the goal fully. So it's important for you to have communication with a possible business partner, because the two cards are generally cards where we're talking about communication, we're talking about cooperation, we're talking about two people working together, especially in the two cards. So you can look at it that way. Okay, when it's in reverse though, it means there could be misunderstandings. So it's important to communicate the goal and the dream so that people can understand that. All right, so in a love reading, Two of Wands in reverse. That's an interesting one. So in a love reading, Two of Wands in reverse would represent two people, possibly, maybe they're not sexually compatible. Okay, that can be something because there's passion. The Wands cards is the passion card. So maybe other things are working, but maybe the sexual compatibility is off. So that could be something. Hey, Angela, how are you doing? It's been a while since I've seen you. Hopefully everything's going okay. Okay. So yeah, Two of Wands in reverse in a possible love dynamic can just be everything else is going good, but maybe the intimacy part isn't. Or it could be that you have interests that are very different, and so you're trying to learn how to connect with that person, right? Good, you're hanging in there. Awesome. Awesome. But that's something, right? And yeah, so that's something that we can talk about. And Angela, if you have getting better now, how have you been? I've been good. I've been good. I took some time off, and then I'm back now, obviously. But I've been doing good. Things have been going well, and I'm glad to hear you're doing good too. And if you have any questions, Angela, or you're wondering anything, I'm open for questions. Right now, I'm just doing cards. I'm just reading cards, and so there's no one in line yet. So if you want, you can ask your question. But so Two of Wands in reverse in a relationship, like I said, there could just be something off, miscompatibility, something like that. It is. It's good. Everything's going well. I'm feeling better than I felt in a while. I got the vid. I got COVID-19, and that was not fun, but it wasn't the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Just had a fever for like a week, which sounds a lot worse than it was. I didn't have tons of pain. I didn't have cold chills or muscle cramps or anything. I did lose my sense of taste and smell though. I will have you know that is a weird journey to go on when you lose your sense of taste and smell. Because apparently it goes in there and it attacks the. I don't know why it does that, but it's back now. It's back now, and even better. The sense of taste is even better. You guys, I'll have you know that water actually has a taste, but you have to have a really strong sense of taste. I'm just kidding, but yeah. So my sense of taste came back, and my smell's pretty much fine. But yeah, so hopefully, Angela, you don't get it. It's different for each person. It seems like every person in my house had a different kind of way of expressing the sickness, which was fascinating and also scary at the same time. Okay, so Angela, if you'd like, we can do $10 for one question. That's usually what we've been doing. And so if you'd want, we could do $10 for one question, or 3 questions for 25, if that would be something you'd want to do, because then you save a little bit of money if you have 3 questions. But yeah, other than the loss of sense of taste and smell and having a fever for a week, I was fine. And that sounds bad. I was just super out of it for like a week. But no pain or anything like that. Other people in my house had it much worse than I did, so I'm grateful I didn't have it as bad. Okay, so Two of Wands. What were we on here? Okay, let's look at that here. Okay. Let me do this. Let me go like this. And I'll wait for the... Let me see if you already paid. I can't... My phone usually vibrates. So let me see. Okay, so you let me know when you've paid, and then we can work on your question. You'll just come right up. So anyone that's wanting to do a question after Angela, as soon as you guys pay, you'll be put in line. So let me know what you guys want to do. Awesome. Okay, Angela, perfect. Perfect. All right. Okay, for some reason it takes a minute for me, so thank you for doing that. And I will get to your question. Just give me 1 second here. Sorry, I'm gonna look right at your question. I'm trying to see. There we go. Okay. Okay. All right, Angela, let's see if Steven knows that you blocked him. Steven the Sagittarius, let's see if he knows that you blocked him. And by the way, if it's the same Steven we've been talking about, good for you. Good for you. When we talk about blocking people, I feel like he definitely would be on the top of the list for that. You were just curious. Okay, well, let's see. Let's see if we can satisfy that curiosity here and see what we can kind of come up with, okay? Let's see. So Angela here, she is wondering if Steven the Sagittarius is still, or if he knows that she blocked him. So let's see what we can find out. Okay, so let's draw some cards here. Oh. Yeah, it has been a lot that has went on since we last spoke. I can imagine with his kind of energy, I can imagine it's been sort of a, maybe a back and forth. I'm almost envisioning like a tug of war of energy between you two, or something going on like that, where it's kind of like him trying to get power, or him trying to get a grasp on you in some way. That's what I felt with him when we've talked in the past. So we have the first card I'm seeing. So Angela, when did you block him? Was this a recent thing? Like, did you block him today or a few hours ago? A mess. Okay, yeah, I can understand that. Because I'm seeing the Wheel of Fortune card, and that to me, I'm wondering if he's noticed yet, but I feel like he will. I feel like he will notice if he hasn't already. But I'm just going to ask you, I can draw another card here and look, but the Wheel of Fortune is kind of like fate moving, like it's things moving forward. So I'm not sure if he's a few days ago. Okay. So here's what I'm getting. We have Wheel of Fortune, and then we have the Six of Coins. So right now at this point, Angela, I don't think he knows you've blocked him yet. But I do feel like he's going to find out, and hopefully from that you can sort of release your bond with him, because blocking him is a way of saying, you know, get out of here, go away, don't want to see you anymore, don't want to have you in my life. Then we have the Nine of Swords in reverse. And this card is generally a card of, it can be insomnia, it can be all these kinds of things. However, insomnia and anxiety, when it's in reverse, I feel like we're getting over that. I feel like probably, Angela, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you blocked Steven, it probably felt pretty good. It probably felt like you let go of something, right? Like you sort of cleansed yourself or your space of that kind of negative energy. When you block someone that is being very problematic or toxic, when you do that, it's like reclaiming your power. It's taking that back. And so, again, the answer to this question, I'm feeling like he hasn't found out yet, but he will. And when he does, I'm feeling like there can still be kind of a reach out for contact possibly, but for now it feels like you're in the clear, and I think you're going to have the ability to stay in the clear with this person, just as long as you keep your boundaries. Yeah, you needed to do it. Yes, like you needed. Yeah, absolutely. And so, as you've blocked this person, you're saying to the universe, right? When you block somebody like this, you're saying to the universe, I'm ready for new options and new opportunities to come into my life because I blocked the person that was giving me nothing but headaches, right? Nothing but just bad vibes. And so that's what I'm seeing here. He will find out. I feel like there could be a little bit of a pushback, him trying to reach out, do whatever, ignore him, do whatever you need to do, but make sure that you stay in this and make sure that you understand that you are in power, right? That's going to be something that's going to help you. And you are powerful, so don't let anyone think that you okay, let me put it this way. Having you in their life is a privilege, not a right. Okay? You being in their life, that should be something that is met with graciousness and gratitude instead of someone that's telling us what to do. So I feel like you made the right choice here. But he'll find out. He'll find out. I don't feel like he knows it yet. He will. And then you get to go from there. So the ball will be in your court. What I'm feeling is going to happen, it's going to be a little bit. I feel like there's going to be there's going to be kind of a reach around for this person to try and come back, but it's going to be weak. I'm feeling like there's going to be a sense of weakness from Steven. Like the response isn't going to be as strong. This person's not going to feel as intimidating. And so I'm feeling like something could possibly happen, but you're going to be in charge in that situation. It's not going to be him setting the rules or anything. So you will have the option. And I'm feeling like it's gotten to that point where you're like, yeah, I'm done. Tried this many times. I don't want to be controlled or manipulated anymore. And I would be ready to eventually, when I've worked on my stuff, I'd be ready to go with a man who is not toxic, right? So, does that answer your question, Angela? So I get the 6 of coins. So that to me, the 6 card. Let's actually do this. Let's actually go a little bit further. So, do I think it will be soon, or do the cards think that it will be soon before he finds out? Let's look. So we get the World card and it's upright. Okay, when I see this card, I'm thinking, yeah, it's going to be soon. I would say this, within the next 3 days. I feel like he knows something's going on. I do feel like he knows something's going on, but something tells me he's oblivious. Something tells me he can talk himself out of thinking certain ways. So I feel like there's something going on here. He doesn't know quite what's happening, but I think he'll understand in about 3 days, 3 or 4 days, that you've blocked him. And there can be someone reaching out. There can be something happening where there's someone trying to get your attention, someone trying to do that sort of thing. But you have every right to ignore if anyone's trying to get you to feel bad for him or get you to come back into the situation. So that's what I'm seeing here. But like I said, I do feel like there's a level of obliviousness. Like you would hit this person and then it would be a 10-minute delay and then they would say, ouch. I feel like it's that kind of obliviousness where they just don't get it. But they're also cruel and vindictive too. So I'm not saying that there's any redeeming qualities there, but that's what I feel. Does that help, Angela? And actually, hold on one second here. Because And I think, you know what? And Angela, you can live your life. Um, you can live your life however you want, right? But you're worth so much. You are worth so much more than what he can pay, right? And that sounds weird. That sounds weird when I say that. But his level of understanding you, it's not meant for you, right? Because you're someone who's worth so much more. So yes, you're very welcome, Angela. Thank you for stopping by the channel. And just take care of yourself, okay? Take care of yourself, and yeah, I think you're on the right path. I really do. Okay, everyone, if someone else has a question, we can go into that. If not, we'll just keep talking about the cards here. But I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. So give me about 2 or 3 minutes, and I will be back. So hold on. Okay, everybody. We are back for another installment. And we'll grab another card here and read it. We were on the Two of Wands in reverse. So I talked about the lover situation, like having a partner. Two of Wands in reverse would also be for, let's say, a spiritual message, right? So Two of Wands in reverse would be something where Maybe we're trying to learn something spiritual, but there's two beliefs, there's two differing beliefs coming in, and it can create a cognitive dissonance, which is like we're trying to believe both things at once, but both things seem to be empirically opposite. Okay, they seem to be one direction versus the other direction, and we feel like we need to make a decision. A lot of times, the middle ground, when we're talking about spiritual ability, that's the only way to go, because if we go completely left or we go completely right, it's too extreme, and we become off balanced. So it's important to understand the balanced perspective. And the Two of Wands in reverse wants to be upright. It wants to be balanced. So view the Two of Wands in any of those sort of readings as in reverse, it's unbalanced. When it's upright, there's choice, right? But in reverse, it's an unbalanced feeling. It feels like maybe we're doing all the work in a relationship, be it business or personal, and that could be the kind of situation we're looking at. Okay. So let's talk about this here. So Two of Wands upright, like I said, upright business situation. Two of Wands would mean something along the lines of, or financial situation, whatever you want to call it. Two of Wands would be, do we go left? Do we go right? Maybe the business is expanding and you can decide to take a loan or you can decide to not take it. You know, what do you want to do? What's going on here? Or maybe two different people are offering a loan, right? You're deciding who to go with. It's good to have the choice, but we want to make sure we make the right choice. So it's giving you the permission to make a choice and stick with it. And I say permission because a lot of times in our life, it doesn't feel like we have control. But in this kind of instance, we get to decide. We get to decide. We're not just living life on rails and that roller coaster's going on and we can't get off. Sometimes we are, but this time we get to decide which direction the roller coaster goes. Okay. Okay. Same for a love reading. Okay. If it's upright, you guys could be working together, but there could be a choice, right? There could be, maybe there's a third party, but you're with someone. That could be it. That could be the choice. Or it could be that maybe there isn't another person, but maybe you're thinking of leaving or you're thinking of not leaving. You're weighing the pros and cons. So it wouldn't necessarily be a negative card in the relationship reading. But when I talk about leaving or not leaving, it's kind of like, what would your soul resonate with? It's sort of like you get to make a choice. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. And then upright, spiritual meaning. Again, making a choice. We get to decide if we're going to learn tarot, if we're going to learn psychic ability. We get to decide if we're going to learn different things in the spiritual realm. And I use that. I use the spiritual reading and I talk about gaining abilities because humans have the capacity to be so much more than what we are. We just need to have something kind of dive deep and bring it out, okay? I'm going to be teaching classes on how we can access different psychic abilities, what we can do, talking about the divine feminine, divine masculine psychic abilities, subjective versus objective psychic abilities. You guys let me know if you'd be interested. There is a link down below in the description. You guys, it doesn't cost anything. And you would just enter your email. And then when my class does start, I'm probably going to do $40, $50 for a few hour class. And then we can talk about everything that, we could talk about, right? And we can do partner exercises too. So that would be something you would get from me, and other people do that, but it would be more structured. I would make sure you guys can have some one-on-one time, and you could feel free to ask questions. If there's something you don't understand or something that you want to understand better, hopefully me and my guides can provide that for you. Okay, so let's move on to another card here. Okay, these cards are, like I said, this is the Fountain Tarot. Okay, and it doesn't matter what deck you guys start out with. Okay, if you guys start out with the traditional Rider-Waite Tarot, right? That's a good one to start out with. I like the other one. I like this one. Okay, this one's really good because it says what the card is on the bottom, and then it shows imagery. Nine of Wands. Okay, as opposed to this one. Okay. Now this is the Three of Cups, but on this, if I can even show you, the only thing that's showing up is the Roman numeral 3 at the bottom, there is cups in the picture, so you could discern that's cups. You could say, okay, that's the Three of Cups. Some of the cards in here, though, are not descriptive enough, right? The Wands and the Swords cards kind of blend together. This is the True Black Tarot deck. It's a gorgeous deck. I feel like this is for more advanced readers, just because it's not as, it's got beautiful images, but the black background and the fact you have to really read into the images to get a message, that can be something. These other decks, they're bigger. They're like bigger pictures, right? There's color. There's different things going on, and your eyes can grab onto a lot of things, and you can read them a certain way. Like, for instance, let's do this card here. Oh, there we go. This is the Three of Cups, okay? Now, this card here, you see the light blue, and you see three hands holding a cup, and the cups are running over with liquid. So that could mean cooperation with more than one person, okay? That could mean that there's a situation here where parties are communicating effectively and they're focusing on that. And we can also look at blue, this light blue color. That's the color of the throat chakra. So when we're talking about throat chakra, we're talking about communication, but we're also talking about the ability to not only say something that feels true to us, but also listen to someone else's truth and not feel like we have to say, you know, and try and interrupt. We're allowing people to speak, and we're allowing there to be a conversation, a back and forth, a natural back and forth, which is hard to convey, right? But it's sort of like, I use the conversation ball as an exercise. I'm holding the ball, okay? When I'm done talking for a certain period of time, maybe it's 5 seconds, then I toss the ball, okay? And the other person gets to talk. And then I wait 5 seconds after they're done talking to know if it's my turn. And hopefully, if you're a good conversationalist, or the person you're talking to is, you can see that that's how a conversation can start, where we can roll with it, right? Three of Cups is working together emotionally. This could be families coming back together. This can be focusing on that. Hey there, name redacted. Awesome. Okay. Do you have a question in mind? And welcome to the channel. I don't think I've seen you before. But yeah, so Three of Cups is a really good card. And that can also be a card of emotional integration as well. Taking something that was hard for us to understand. Hey, GD. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I do charge for questions. If you have like a spiritual question, I can answer that for free. But if it's personal, like a relationship question, those ones I do charge for. So hopefully you guys can understand that. It's $10 a question, but you'll get your money's worth. And yeah, so if you guys are comfortable doing that, we can do that. If not, I understand. But my link is down below if you guys want to look at that. Okay. Yeah, so Three of Cups can be emotional integration. And when we're talking about emotional integration, it means understanding something from a different perspective than we understood it before. Like I was talking about earlier, cognitive dissonance, believing two opposing truths to be true and not being able to choose one over the other. That's something where maybe we have resolved that. Okay, so it can be kind of left and right thinking where we feel like one way is right, but we want to see what the other way holds. And eventually we let go, and we're allowing ourselves to sort of float in the middle, right? And we can understand that perspective. So Three of Cups, okay, love reading, really good card. If this card is upright, really good card. Because it focuses on there being communication and talking, and there being a flow of emotions. Because you can look in this, the cups are running over. And I've often said in relationships, there's three parts to a relationship. There's you, the individual, your partner is the individual, and then you and your partner when you're unionized or when you're, together. And so this card here is showing that I feel like all of those facets are moving along. Because if one partner is growing and evolving, but the other one isn't, that can make it so that there's a huge disconnect because someone is staying behind. And if someone doesn't want to catch up, that can make it, that can end relationships, right? Because one person is putting in a lot more effort and they're trying to broaden their horizons or trying to learn new things, but you're not, or vice versa. Okay. So that's something that we could be talking about too. So in business, cooperation. Okay, the 3 cards to me represent cooperation. And so this is a good card to have. This is good to have in business. Things are melding together, things are working. Okay, in a spiritual reading, we could read this card as understanding, maybe understanding a spiritual concept, being able to get it, right? So for instance, when we're talking about psychic ability, when we're talking about understanding the tarot, okay, maybe we had a moment where we had our first successful reading, okay? Maybe we had a moment where we were able to connect with that feeling and we understand what it feels like to have that connection, to have a psychic link with something or someone. And that could be an accomplishment. That could be a milestone, okay? So that could be something that we're talking about when it comes to a spiritual reading. Each one of these in reverse, okay, it's a similar message with the 3 of Cups. 3 of Cups in reverse in a financial reading, there's no teamwork. Things are not working. Things are not moving forward, okay? There's no reason to celebrate because there's nothing to celebrate, right? 3 of Cups upright is like a celebration card. Things are moving forward. When it's not upright, things are halted. Things aren't feeling like they're going to be moving forward anytime soon. So then we have the 3 of Cups in a relationship reading. If it's in reverse, you're not, either you're not expressing yourself emotionally enough for your partner to understand what's going on with you, or vice versa. There's something going on. There's a halt in the communication in the relationship, and one of you or both of you is not expressing themselves, okay? This in reverse could denote just issues in general where one person misunderstood the other person. I mean, I'm giving examples here, but one person could have misunderstood the other person, and then the other person misunderstood that person's misunderstanding. What I'm trying to say is we can have situations spiral out of control really quick, especially if we're very sensitive people, or especially if we're very shame triggered, right? If someone can trigger our shame very easily or can trigger that response in us, that means that we're more than likely going to take things the wrong way when no harm was intended. Okay. So that would be it in reverse. Okay. Now, spiritual in reverse, feeling like we're failing would be how I would describe this card, 3 of Cups in reverse in a spiritual reading. It's feeling like we just don't get it. Feeling like other people get it, but we don't. Maybe comparing ourselves to other people, which I have done a lot, especially in the start of my spiritual journey. You know, James Van Prague can do this, and I can't do that. I can't do any of this stuff. And I was comparing myself to someone who's worked for decades on their craft, instead of looking at where I was at now, instead of focusing on comparing myself to who I was a week ago or a month ago. I was comparing myself to someone who's been in the industry and is famous. You know, that's one way we can self-sabotage too, is if we focus on that kind of mentality. So, okay, let's look at another card here. You guys, if you want to, please feel free to pay for a question at any point in time, $10 a question, and I will answer those questions. So right now, you guys would be the first. You'd be jumping in first on the list, and we'd get to your question right away. In the meantime, though, let's talk about some cards. And please feel free to talk in the chat section here if you guys want to. I always love a lively chat. Makes it nice and cozy. All right, so let's see what other cards we can get here and kind of focus on some different ways we can read these. We might get a major arcana this time. Let's see. The difference between minor and major arcana is that the major arcana is like very, very strong energy. It's pay attention to me energy. Look at me. This is a big deal kind of an energy. So the major arcana is like, look, right? It's that kind of energy. But the minor arcana, they're kind of like more suggestions in a way. It can still absolutely be real and accurate, but it's like they're suggesting something because it hasn't gotten to the point where it's major arcana, right? So you can almost view it like this, Okay. Um, let's say I was walking and I broke my ankle. Okay. I didn't know it was broken. I just thought it was a really bad sprain. Um, I had no idea it was broken. But I'm walking, I break my ankle. That sucks, but I don't know that it's broken yet. Come to find out, a few weeks, like my body's in pain, but a few weeks later, the pain has become excruciating. My body is screaming at me. So that went from a situation that felt like a minor arcana, just a sprained ankle, to something that we have to take care of now, something that we have to focus on now to fix. Otherwise, we're going to be in pain. And the body uses pain to tell us that it's time to work on something, right? It's screaming at us. Hey there, Vanessa. How are you doing? I'm going to take a drink here. Okay. No, one more drink. Okay. Yeah, name redacted. It's $10 a question. Let me know if that works for you. I go into detail. I feel like it's fair to be compensated, right? And I will spend time on your question, obviously. That's what you're paying me for. Okay. I'm gonna stretch here for a second. Let's see what other card we can get. And we'll talk about how we can read that in here. Okay, so this is an interesting card. Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords is an interesting card. Okay, I said that before, and I'll probably say it a few more times because I always forget that I say it. But this one is about upright. It could be that we're stealing something or we're having something stolen from us. It could be mental energy. It could be focusing on something that's not coming to fruition, so something is taking up our mental energy. But it could also actually mean physically something is stolen from you. It is the card, in my opinion, that is like the theft card, the thief card, right? So it's that kind of energy. Now, in reverse, it could be maybe that we're giving back instead of stealing, or maybe that we could be giving too much if this is in reverse. But it could be something where we're trying to make amends, we're trying to make something right. So let's do this. Let's do financial reading, okay? What would the Seven of Swords upright mean in a financial reading? That literally could mean someone is stealing money from you, or you're not being paid what you're owed, or you feel like you deserve a raise and you're not getting it and you've asked for it. You feel like you should be getting more than what you're getting, right? And so you feel like someone is stealing from you effectively. You do your job well, you haven't had a raise in 3 years, maybe it's time to talk about that. So that could be the kind of situation we're talking about here. Now, we have the Seven of Swords in a love reading. Could be there could be a cheating situation going on. That could absolutely be going on. But it could also be your partner maybe missing the mark when it comes to try to get your attention. If this card's going on, to me, it's like we could be oblivious in the situation or the relationship, and something could be going on behind our backs that we're not necessarily aware of, because the Seven of Swords, it's like the thievery card, and thieves can be backstabbing. Anything that you could denote with a thief being in that sort of way, we can sort of look at it that way. So basically, the full truth isn't going on. We don't know the full truth of the situation. It can be a card where there's a sense of uneasiness, right? Especially in relationships, there could be that sense of uneasiness. And in a spiritual reading, if we're doing spiritual readings here, Seven of Swords would represent in my opinion, it represents not putting in the time, but wanting the results. Okay. So we want to be a good psychic, we want to be a good tarot reader, but we literally don't put any time towards it at all. We don't practice the skill, we don't expect anything to happen, and yet we say to ourselves, I haven't grown as a tarot reader or a psychic, and we haven't been putting in any work. So why would we grow? Okay. There are instances, they are incredibly rare in my understanding, where you can get psychic ability, you can get these things that happen, but it's generally through very specific circumstances, and it's not very common. It does happen, and some people are born with these abilities. They don't necessarily have to work as hard for them, but that too is an issue, because sometimes if you're born with a very good ability and you're really good at it, you tend to let yourself be lax or slip just a little bit, because you're already good. You know, you're already good enough, so why would you need to be better? That can be the kind of situation we're talking about. So this card in reverse would be, it could be giving back, but it could be giving back too much. That's the way I would read it. Something I feel like this could also be related to health issues as well. If it's in reverse, it could be pointing to some sort of health issues. I feel like Spirit is saying like kidneys or something like that. That's pretty specific. If you guys are doing a reading for someone and you're getting very, very specific messages and you're not thinking those messages, but they just come into your head, and it seems like you're like talking to someone, right? And all of a sudden, you're thinking kidneys, and you're like, how can I think and talk at the same time? That's usually spirit, or that's like environmental information coming through. So that's what I'm talking about. And generally, psychic impressions, psychic messages, they're quick. They're very, very fast. There's not a lot of time for hesitation. When you're connected, boom, 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 right? You really are connected. Okay. So Seven of Swords in a relationship could be that you're giving too much in the relationship, and maybe you're not getting enough in return. It's not necessarily a bad card, but it could be someone taking us for granted. It could be someone not seeing our value, or vice versa. We could be not seeing someone else's value, or we're taking someone else for granted, right? I used to have it every day, okay, and I was a spoiled prince, okay? I haven't done this for a while, but I used to have it where my partner got up and she made coffee every morning. And she did this for a very, very long time. And I'm ashamed to admit that, but now me and her take turns. I do it for 2 days, and then she does it for 2 days. And we try to take turns on what it is that we're trying to do, so that no one person is holding the whole thing together, right? It's nice to have coffee made for you in the morning, but it's also really nice to make it for your partner. And what I'm trying to say is, we do take things like that for granted. I know I did. She would make me coffee, and I got very princely about it, and I won't ever do that again, but that's just something we can talk about, something we can learn from. Okay, so Seven of Swords in reverse in a business situation. It could be, and I would view it like this, we could be getting money, but from a source that isn't necessarily positive, right? I don't want to say like loan sharks or something like that, but it could be dubious kind of money, like a dubious source, a very vague kind of floaty source that it's not concrete, okay? Like you don't know what's attached to this money, but you know there's a catch. You know there's a catch somewhere. You don't know what it is yet, and it's kind of like you're signing something away before you understand what it is you're signing. Okay, so that would be a situation where I would definitely say really look at the fine print, understand what it is you're getting into, because there could be something that you're missing behind the scenes, okay? And then, I don't know if we did Seven of Swords in reverse spiritually. I think we did, I'm not sure. I'll just go over that, just in case. So Seven of Swords in reverse would be similar to, yeah, we did. Putting in the time and not, okay, we did do that. I just didn't say spiritual. Okay, never mind. All right, so let's look at another card here and see what we can come up with. And you guys, please feel free. $10 a question. You'll get answers. And, well, I mean, that's it. That's what you guys are looking for, is answers. So I can give you guys answers. I can also do energy healing as well, if that's something you guys are into. Or it could just be the tarot reading. I'm just turning off my phone's alarm here because I was going to have it go off. It scares me half to death. This thing vibrates very loud, and I have an alarm set in the mornings, and it will scare the bejesus out of me. Not a fun experience, by the way. Let's look at another deck. Okay, this is the Wild Unknown. Hey, name redacted. So how much are you doing healing? Do you mean how much is the energy healing, or do you mean how often do I do energy healing? I just want to make sure to clarify so I'm not answering you in a way that doesn't make sense. Oh, hold on one second here. Actually, give me 1 second. Oh, you're good. Name redacted. It would be $10 for that too, just because it wouldn't be like a full session. If I do a full session, it's quite a bit more. But then I'm working with you for like an hour, so it makes sense that it would be more. But it would be about $10 for about 10 minutes of doing some energy work, and then kind of focusing on that sort of thing. I generally sometimes, okay, I'm not promising anything. I can get psychic information, and I can kind of go into stuff a little bit more. I cannot diagnose anything, and I can't even say I can cure anything. That's not something I can do, disclaimer kind of a thing. But it might help to alleviate your pain. It might help. Okay, I have to say that generally it does a pretty good job, but I have to say that to cover my bases. I'm sure you can understand that. Hold on 1 second, guys. I gotta grab my my little scribble pad here, and then I will come right back. Just because if I'm doing energy work, it's important for me to have a way to express what I'm getting, what I'm feeling, and I can explain that why I need a scribble pad to do that. So 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. Okay, I am back, and I will show you guys what I was doing here, or what I will be doing. I like to educate as we move along, and this one is interesting because I don't necessarily know why it works, but I'll explain the process. A lot of stuff in the psychic field, in energy work, in anything, um, a lot of it we do not know how it works necessarily, but it's not important for us to know how it works. The brain wants to think that it has to categorize everything, but in a lot of spiritual abilities, it's about letting go, not about focusing on intent. Well, focusing on intent is good, but it's about letting go more than anything. Okay, so I got the scribble pad here. It's just an iPad. And then what I do is this. Is that a surprise face name redacted? I'll just call you NR because I feel like it sounds a little more personal. Is that that was the face I made when I found out that if you relax more with spiritual abilities, it works a hell of a lot better. If I feel like I have to always guide the process, then I'm missing something, right? The energy that the person needs to heal doesn't even come from me in the first place. It's spirit guides. Yeah, it's very big. I've been stuck in logic a long time. Oh, okay. Yeah, so the spiritual part, we kind of throw logic out the window. And that's coming from someone, I didn't believe in any of this. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a cool concept, but I never had any personal experience. I never had anything happen. And then as time went on, I got readings from psychics, from mediums. I started to see that there's actually a lot of truth to this sort of stuff. And the way they always talked about how they connected was to allow themselves to relax and get into the process. Logic in spiritual practice doesn't help us, right? Logic is kind of the barrier in spiritual practice. And honestly, in my opinion, if we're talking about spiritual abilities, we have to unlearn a lot. But the person, when we're talking about spiritual abilities, people like to be in charge, right? Letting go is something that people do not want to do. And so when we're talking about these practices, intention, if I want to do energy healing, that's great. Intention helps, but I have to let go. Awesome. I'm spiritually gifted and I've been healing a lot. Awesome, name redact. I love that, or NR. That's good. And you'll understand that when you're healing, you're unburdening yourself, right? You're kind of unlearning things. You're focusing on adopting new habits. It's sort of like you're getting rid of the gunk in your body and you're putting in something else. You're replacing it with something that's beneficial. So hopefully that describes the healing process a little bit. But if we let go of like for instance, energy healing works so much better if I don't think that I have to perform, right? If I just let the energy run its course and my guides do their work, hardly any of it is my doing. It's my guides doing the work. It's me holding attention to the space for energy, but I'm not necessarily doing any of the work. In the past, I've tried doing that, and it didn't work as well as it does now. So I focus on having my guides do the work, and then I just have to be in a certain alignment to have them do the work. I have to be, if not a happy, joyful mood, I have to be neutral, right? I can't be in a bad mood and do energy work. It doesn't, for me anyway, it doesn't work that way. But I'm just holding on. I'm a vessel that's holding the energy, and then I'm like kind of pouring it out. So I don't create the energy. I just sort of move it along, and then I let my guides handle it from there. Oh, awesome. Okay. Perfect. Thank you for, let's see here. See what we can do here. Hold on one second. All right, so what is it you'd want to focus on, NR? Or wait, maybe you already sent it to me. Oh, no, just okay, tarot reading. Perfect. All right. I'm still going to call you NR, okay? So I have a feeling that we can work with NR. That'll work. Okay. Give me 1 second here, and then we'll do a tarot reading, and we'll see what else we can get to. I'm liking the energy that you're giving because you're open. You're open to stuff. And that's so much easier to work with. In fact, I have a funny story. I was reading a book that was written by a psychic, and I'll just say this really quick. I was reading a book written by a psychic, and she was doing these exercises with people in person, right? People actually meeting up together was once a thing, believe it or not. So she was doing these readings in person, and she's sitting in front of the person. There's like these practice readings. She's sitting in front of this person, and she's trying to get a reading on this person. And she says, all I'm seeing around you, the only thing I'm seeing is this white light. That's it. That's all I'm seeing. I can't see anything else. I can't see what your aura, I can't see the impressions that I'm getting. And the person turned out that they were protecting themselves so much. They kept asking for protection and white light, so much so that it became, they couldn't be read, right? They were blocking off a connection. So sometimes it's important for us to be vulnerable in a way so that we can connect and move forward. Moral of the story, right? Okay, so let's look at your tarot reading here. So, NR, do you have a question specifically that we can focus on? And, well, yeah, we'll focus on the question. And I'm trying to get more comfortable looking in the camera. Okay, but the computer's right here. The camera's here. So if you see me looking between the two, I look a little Twitter-pated, but I promise that's why. Okay, so let's do this here. All right. Yes, how do I get out of my rut? Okay, your name is Sky. All right. If you want me to call you by your name, we can do that. Some people like to be anonymous. I did see that your name was Sky. I just didn't want to say it in case, because your name is name redacted, so I thought you wanted to have some anonymity. So that's why I was doing that. So, okay, yes, how do I get out of my rut? All right, we can look at that. Plus, I will note that I've had free readings in the past, and because I was in a not-so-great state, I saw they were affected. I'm asking that you are protected from this end. I'll be okay. I'll be all right. I've got some pretty good backup on my end. Okay, so, and plus, you don't see what I do after I'm done. I sage, I light incense, I sage, I make sure the space is cleared. I appreciate you, though, saying that. I've worked with some people with some pretty, let's call it dense energy, right? And so we can work on that. All right. So let me see here what we can do. Hey, Christine, how's it going? Okay, let me do this. I feel like I'm having something come in already, and I'm just going to write it down. Okay. There we go. All right. And I'll tell you what the message here in a second. I'm just going to shuffle these cards first. Kind of adds to the mystery, doesn't it? So, name redacted. I'm going to ask you this. I feel like Spirit is saying this, and you can tell me if this is right or if this isn't. The only way I learn doing psychic messages is you being honest with me, okay? It'll hurt my feelings a little bit if I'm wrong, but I'm a big boy. I'll get over it. So, first thing that I was seeing, besides the message I got, was I feel like spiritual abilities happening in a kind of a Big Bang effect, where did these sort of come about fairly quickly? Like, did it seem like they came out of nowhere? Or could you describe the process of your sort of spiritual awakening? Because a lot of times psychic ability, spiritual ability can kind of come out of nowhere, or it has like a pretty strong starting point. Like we almost feel like we're going crazy. Dark night of the soul situation for some of these. Hey, honey. My cat just came in. Seems weird if I just look at the ground and say honey, I realized that. Okay, so what can Sky do to get out of their rut? Love the name, by the way. What can Sky do to get out of the rut? My name's Chan, in case you were wondering. Okay, all right. So the ability started. Okay, so the first thing I had, Sky, was this. The very first word I had was influential. So that tells me that your energy is very powerful, right? When we're talking about psychic energy, when we're talking about that Big Bang effect, and then the word influential, I feel like you have abilities that are not under control. You're trying to control them. That's not the point. To control makes it so that we're squishing down these abilities and we're kind of squeezing the life out of them. There's a way that we can use these abilities where we don't have to force control on the abilities. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So influential, strong energy. I'm feeling spirit around me now, kind of around this area, around the ears. So maybe, okay, around the jaw. So there could be some clairaudience where we could hear spirit voices. There could be something along those lines coming out. The energy healing aspect, solar plexus, is sort of something that I'm seeing here. We're trying to ignite the solar plexus. That's with the fire. That's the fire energy. Solar plexus deals with willpower and purpose. I feel like we're trying to get that ignited. We're trying to get that going. But again, there's something here with letting go of control. Okay, that's what I see here. Very strong energy, but it's kind of like, well, what do I do with it? How can I harness it? What can I do to use it? I feel like you have an intuitive sense. You know what's going on. But when it comes to maybe diving in deeper, that can be something that can feel intimidating. Okay, and so let's look at the cards though, right? This so far is just psychic impression. Let's do the cards and let's see what we get here. I'm gonna do a couple more shuffles. Oh, there we go. All right, so really interesting here. Okay, so we've got 3 cards that I drew. We're talking about a rut, we're talking about this, and I'm going to talk about what we can do. Okay, very first card we get, Sky, is Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Okay, and I'll explain what that means. Wheel of Fortune in reverse in this situation, being in a rut, feeling like we're in that rut, that could be a feeling of not moving forward, obviously. The Wheel of Fortune, it's not a good or a bad card, but it's like it's moving, right? When it's upright, it's a moving card. So we're stopping ourselves. It feels like we're holding ourselves back. Maybe there's a fear here where we're holding ourselves back from a situation or from achieving something. But if I feel like we hold ourselves back, we minimize ourselves, we make ourselves small, maybe other people are more important a lot of the time. And I'm feeling like there's this sense of other people's needs can come before mine, but when it comes to me, I will kind of stay small. That's what I'm seeing here. And because of that, we get the Seven of Cups in reverse, okay? Seven of Cups upright is about choice, right? Seven of Cups in reverse is about the lack of choice. So maybe we're feeling like we're in a situation where things are being decided for us, or where it feels like we don't have a lot of say or a lot of pull in our lives. So it could be a situation like that. Now, and then my heart's starting to race a little bit, so that's interesting. And then my breath is starting to get shallow. Okay. I don't know if there's any heart or like lung problems. Then I started getting lightheaded too. And I started to get clumsy. Remember that. Okay, so let's look at this. Yeah, it's hard for me to take a breath. And so I'm feeling like this is something that's weighed. It's either weighing on you or there is some possible heart or lung issues. Okay, so and then there's some cold energy around me too, so that's interesting. Let's see what else we can get. So Sky, so far, if it's difficult for you to talk back, I can understand if something's going on. But let me know, let me know if what I'm saying is making sense. Let me know if we're going okay, because you paid for a reading. I want to make sure we're on the same page. Okay, I feel like that would be a good thing for you. So you just let me know. Okay. I've got another card here, but I'm going to see if it's okay with you, Sky. I can try and connect with you a little bit more and see what I can get. I do ask permission if I connect a little bit deeper, just because that helps me to understand what's going on. Possibly, I'm still learning though, so. Okay. So there has been a shortness of breath. It's still there a little bit. Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, so no, you two. My cats like to reenact epic fight scenes from movies with each other. So anyway, let's see what else we can get here. Okay, perfect. All right, so let me see. Okay, so you're really empathic. Okay, good. That's going to make an easier connection. This really empathic nature that you have, though, was this something that you struggled with for a while? Maybe we lost our sense of identity because of other people's emotions that were around us, because a lot of empaths, because they don't set up boundaries, can actually lose themselves when they're around other people, and they'll adopt another person's identity. Not doing it to be malicious, they're just doing it because someone has a strong sense of self and the empath hasn't developed their own sense of individuality quite yet. Would you say that's something that you've gone through? I do feel the empathicness. I do. I do feel a connection. I feel a kind heart. But it feels like it can be a little too kind. Right, and I'll explain what that means here in a second. I'm just going to wait to hear from you. Lack of identity, yes. Okay. So that's something right there. The reason you feel like you're in a rut, that's one of the reasons. If we don't have a sense of identity, it's going to be hard for us to figure out what it is we want to do. So that's something that we can talk about moving forward here. But that's one of the issues. That's one of the issues. And I'm feeling like you can easily feel what it's like to walk through anyone's shoes. Have you applied that same ability to yourself? I'm saying it in a joking way, but that's something that other people can appear more important to us, and that can be something where we were raised to view other people as more important than us. If another person is comfortable, even if we're not comfortable, we're doing something right. And in fact, that's people-pleasing mentality, and that does not help us at all. And so we need to unlearn that. That's going to be an area of healing. So that could be something that happened. But I have a feeling somewhere other people's well-being was put before your own. And maybe it was even congratulated that you take care of other people or your... And that takes time. That takes time to learn. I'm going to say this right now. The one card I've got that's describing everything, and I feel like we can fix this issue. The solar plexus is struggling to light, okay? That does not mean it won't light. But I want you to see the solar plexus as an energy center, a willpower center, okay? And that willpower center deals with this. This is another card we have here. This is the Emperor right here. The Emperor deals with initiative. The Emperor can ask polite permission, but then they go about and they do their stuff. They take no for an answer when it's appropriate, but they are more aggressive and they get what they want. Okay, it's more of a masculine energy. And I'm feeling like that could be something that we're lacking because we're not focused on possibly what it is that we want. And especially at the age you're at, you said 23. So that could mean that we're still trying to find our identity. I will venture to say, Sky, that you're probably introverted. And I would feel like large crowds, because of your empathic nature, would feel very difficult to navigate through. Possibly, maybe some ADHD, or maybe being on the spectrum for autism. For me personally, I feel like I'm on the spectrum big time. And I feel like it's because I'm more sensitive. But certain things get to me in a way other people seem fine. So I'm not saying it as a negative thing at all. I feel like it's a very sensitive kind of thing, and I feel like that's beautiful that we can have that. But you let me know if what I'm saying makes sense. And if not, that's okay too. But the initiative is part of this. The initiative is the part where So, okay, perfect. All right. So when we're talking about, might need this, might not. Oh, thank you, Sky. You're very sweet. Thank you. It's very kind of you. So we work on establishing this. I get my solar plexus fired up with martyr music. Okay, so that's good. Solar plexus being fired up, that's good. Solar plexus is, I've used astrology a long time to try to study myself. That's good too, because then you can understand things. But Sky, I have something here that's going to be an interesting little tidbit, and I feel like maybe this will resonate. Because you said this, you've tried to study yourself. Also, I have a hard time to work through spirit guide because perfectionism. Okay, another thing we can talk about. I'm really like a super actor. Okay, so let's break those down a little bit here. Like okay. So first thing you said, You said, I've used astrology a long time to try to study yourself. Here's the thing, though. A lot of times when we've lost that sense of self-identity, when we use astrology or something else to try and define us, it's not going to resonate that deeply because we haven't found out who we are yet. So it can resonate. There can be things that are true, but there can be other parts where we really don't resonate with it at all. And that's because we're still trying to find ourselves. And there can be certain aspects of our character that have kind of been locked up in trauma. And we can, when we heal the trauma, we unlock that part of ourselves. But until it's dealt with, there can be parts of us that are kind of locked up or stunted in the way that they see the world or in the way that things are. So you said, so the perfectionism, that's one reason why it's hard. If I'm doing a tarot reading for myself, I'll let you know right now, it's always good. I say that jokingly because it's really hard to do readings for yourself. And the spirit voice, again, right? The spirit voice is something that comes through when we're ready to hear it, but it can also come through in spurts. It can come through and it can activate, but the perfectionism will kill any of this. If we feel like it has to be perfect, it kills it. It destroys the connection because you cannot, perfection doesn't exist. It doesn't. How we feel like we should be in perfectionism is a form of self-sabotage, right? Because what we will do is, even if we had a good result with something, we will convince ourselves that it wasn't good enough. We will convince ourselves that we could have done better. And because of that, it kills the creative flow. It kills that spiritual connection that we're trying to build with ourselves or our spirit guides. We need to allow things to happen and not judge them. And that too takes time. When we allow things to happen and not judge, that's going to work a lot better than if we are forcing a perspective or we're forcing something to happen. So this card right here, the Emperor, all right, Aries, fire, solar plexus. It's good to get fired up. It's good to have this kind of ritual that we can get into. But what's even more important is that we try to look at areas that we struggle in, and we can focus on this one thing will help you more than anything. Establishing boundaries with people, okay? That's going to be the first thing that helps more than anything. And when I say establishing a boundary, it would be like this, all right? So let's say you're in a situation, okay? People often find themselves in situations. So let's say you're in one. And let's say that someone invites you to a party, okay? And I feel like you might be the kind of person that if you had to say no for whatever reason, you would maybe over-explain yourself. You would be like, no, I can't go because I have a dentist appointment, or I have this, or I have this. And instead, what you can do is you can just say, that's not something I feel like doing. We can set boundaries. We can set soft boundaries. But the more boundaries we set, the more the universe keeps giving us kind of tests where we can set more boundaries. And each time we set a boundary, we further define ourselves. And each time we define ourselves, we're getting more and more of an identity. But the boundaries have to be set. We have to know what we want and what we don't want. And the way we do that is people around us. We start interacting. We start seeing how we can kind of have our own autonomy. Like, yeah, okay. So that makes sense to you. So that's good. So when we're working through that, the reason, in my opinion, with what I was feeling with spirit and with what I was feeling from the cards, the reason you're feeling like you're in a rut is because you haven't found yourself, right? You haven't found that sense of self. And the only way you're going to find that sense of self is to establish the things you like and you don't like. And that will take time, and that's going to take a little bit of time. But the more we look at the things, and we can do this, right? We can look at the things that we don't like. We can look at the things we really don't like, and we can almost go to the opposite side of that. And that could be something we're interested in. That could be something we could move forward in. It just takes time. And a lot of us empaths, we do go through a period, and I want you to know this is perfectly normal. We do go through a period where our personality, our identity becomes almost like a haze. It's not solid. It's not something we can necessarily define or we can focus on and bring to our attention. It's something that feels like it's a fog, right? And there's a funny joke with that, actually. I tried to grab fog and I missed, you know, MIST. Anyway, it's a bad dad joke. I got tons of them. But this does come with time. I remember when I was 23. Oh man, you're making me feel old. I mean, you're not, but I remember when I was 23, 9 years ago. Okay, and I was going through a lot of the same things. However, I was more emotionally closed off. You know, so that was something that was difficult. Oh, thank you, thank you. When you get there, when you get to be your own person, the reason why I'm telling jokes is because I want you to know this isn't something that's super serious. I don't want you to take this. I want you to look at it. I want you to observe it. But because of the perfectionistic attitudes, I have a feeling you're looking for another reason to criticize yourself. I don't want this to be a reason to criticize yourself because you're doing fine. We just need to find an area where we can focus on and get better. Another thing we can do, Sky, is I want you to, if you wouldn't mind, focus on allowing yourself to be kind to yourself. That takes practice. That takes a lot of practice. I've literally worked with people. I've worked with clients, and they will tell me that they were trying to be gentle with themselves. They couldn't be gentle with themselves, and then they started to beat themselves up. And you kind of have to laugh at that point because it's like you're upset that you weren't gentle with yourself and you started getting upset with yourself, right? Awesome. Awesome. I'm glad it's making sense. I'm glad it's making sense. So I need you to take it day by day, this perfectionistic thing that you have. The only way you're going to get over this, the only way you're going to work through this is I need you to take it day by day, and I need you to be gentle with yourself. That doesn't mean yelling at yourself. That doesn't mean, oh, I'm so stupid, I forgot to do that one thing, because that doesn't help us. Perfectionism is self-sabotage. Nothing's ever good enough for perfectionism, and you'll never get to that point. And generally, that perfectionism comes from childhood, right? Something happened where we felt like we had to overachieve. Maybe love was conditional. Maybe there was that kind of environment, right? And so now we have to unlearn those things, and it takes time, but the gentleness is going to help you so much. And that just looks like, Sky, I'm going to ignore the negative thoughts, but also, if you're having negative thoughts, I don't want you to beat yourself up for having negative thoughts. Okay? That's another way that perfectionism comes in. That's another way that we self-sabotage is if you're having a thought, if you're having something happen, don't beat yourself up because you're having it. Okay? Again, gentleness, right? Gentle, gentle, gentle. And that's the one thing I teach on this channel more than anything else is if we can be gentle with ourselves, everything in our life can change, but it starts with us. Okay? We may not have caused the mess that's in our life, but it's our job to clean it up. It's our job to look at it and to say, okay, here's where I can improve. Here's what I can do. So hopefully, Sky, that made sense, right? I need, or not me, right? I'm trying not to do that as much. What I feel like the psychic impressions and the cards are trying to say is that we need to set boundaries to discover ourselves as being our own person, okay? We need to understand that we have our own autonomy. We have our own sense of self. We need to understand that it is okay for us to take up space in this world because that's absolutely fine, okay? And we need to understand that just because we didn't do 1,001 things today, it doesn't mean we're a worthless person, okay? Human beings are just that. They are human beings, meaning just existing should be enough. But in the Western world or in other concepts, it's not enough to just exist. We have to achieve, we have to do so much. Does it make us immortal? Does it make us live forever? No, it doesn't do anything really. A successful person and an unsuccessful person are going to both be buried in the ground eventually, right? Maybe that's a little grim, but I'm trying to get that point across. That it just takes time with this, and it takes a sense of wanting to understand, not beating ourselves up, and going into that kind of arena. But this to me is a good thing. that we're in right now, because it's a life lesson. These are all life lessons. And as far as life lessons go, this is going to be one where you're going to learn more about yourself now than you've ever learned about yourself before. This can be a great opportunity for you to say, my name's Sky, this is who I am, right? This is a really good opportunity for you to focus on establishing yourself. And you get free reign, you know? Awesome. Awesome. I'm glad it helped. I am so glad I was able to help. So thank you for that, Sky, and thank you for paying for the reading too. I always try to give people, you know, I wouldn't say necessarily good readings, but hopefully helpful readings, because you said I helped you. So that is awesome. I'm glad I was able to help. And so Sky, I'll ask you this, okay? So are you interested in, what spiritual abilities do you feel like you have? Because I was feeling like there's some clairaudience there. Not developed clairaudience, but there is some meaning hearing spirit or hearing something that's happened. It's not very developed, but I feel like that's one of your clairs. And again, you have powerful energy, but we need to find out where that energy can be put into. We need to find out what you can focus on to develop these abilities. You have all this, let's say your spiritual abilities, right? Your spiritual abilities are like water. And there's this vast ocean of water. There's this vast ocean of spiritual ability, but you need to take that and you need to harness it into a specific skill. Because the big vast ocean, it's too big. It's too big to go into these small, more defined skills. But over time, it can happen. You just need to focus. I've got books I can recommend, is basically what I'm trying to say. So if you're wanting to develop psychic ability or mediumship or even energy healing, I think I've got a book on that too. Well, it's outdated. Never mind. That's like a 20-year-old book, so maybe you wouldn't want that. But I do have quite a few recommendations if you're wondering about how to develop as a psychic, like from level 0, beginner, you know, I barely know what the word psychic means, up into actually being a psychic. I've got a book on that. And then the same kind of with mediumship. I've got a book on that too. So I can give you those recommendations if that's something you're interested in. One second here. Clairaudience, like songs, help me through spirit. Prophecy, clairvoyance. Yeah, perfect. Okay, good. So yeah, that would be clairaudience, and they can come through in songs, literal voices that we hear in our ears or our spirit ears. But you let me know if that's something you're interested in. Again, I got recommendations. If not, that's okay too. I can see hieroglyphs, beings, maps anywhere I look, but it's really taxing. Well, there's an ability there. There's a pretty strong ability there. You need to learn how to harness it. Only was nice when I was calm and neutral. And you can get there. You can get there with this. One of the things we can do, name Sky, is there's a Pandora's box of things. That makes sense. I was seeing a Big Bang scenario, which is like everything coming out of nothing. But a Pandora's box makes sense too. That does make sense. But, right, these are abilities that in time, right now, they may not feel like they are good, right? Yes, not attaching to what you see. That's perfect. And that's actually a really good practice to have. Okay. Just saw a blue spark in the corner here. Big Bang really resonated. Yeah, there's a lot of power there. And some of the stuff you've gone through, I don't feel when I was connecting to your energy, you're not like a congested, energetic individual. There's a lot of untapped potential, but your energy didn't feel dense when I was connecting with it. Right. I think I can channel really easily. That's good too. So there's a lot of avenues. There's a lot of avenues for you. I don't want you to feel though, Sky, the one thing, right? Your energy, there's potential. There's a lot of potential, but I did not feel that it was heavy. I did not feel that it was like this dark, dense, whatever. I felt that there was a lot of it, but I didn't feel that it was like anything bad. Kind of like Source trying to be omnipresent. And that's definitely one of the ability. And there's a lot more out there too. There's channeling, there's mediumship, there's a lot of different modalities of energy healing that you can focus on. But the important thing is to realize that we get to be in charge, right? And when you start to say things, if it's too much for you to handle, say you don't appreciate it. That can be the place you can practice your your boundaries first. Is if you feel like you're having an onslaught of information, you're having like a lot of information come into your head or come into your field of view at once, you can say, "Can you please stop?" or "Can you please slow down?" I feel a lot better just talking, etc. as well, and that's good too. A lot of times, people like us, we don't have anyone to talk to, and so that can also be something where we can vent, right? Like I'm not looking at you like you're crazy, and a lot of people don't understand this kind of stuff, and so I appreciate you talking with me, and you can come here and talk because I understand that that's needed, right? But if you start with if you start with using that, setting boundaries with spirit, setting boundaries with your psychic ability, that's going to be the best place you can start. And then you'll feel like you're not as overwhelmed, and in turn you can establish more of your own sense of identity from that. But you've got a lot going on. You just need to kind of thank you, Sky, you're very sweet, I appreciate that. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing or what I'm getting. Some of it's advice, some of it's from spirit or psychic information, but most of it is just hopefully helpful, right? And it seems like it is. So, um, yeah, just give yourself a minute, collect yourself, and start with your boundaries with spirit. I've done it many times. I have spirit come up to me. What was it? Last week. Last week, in one day, on 3 separate occasions, I followed a spirit from one room into another one, thinking it was my girlfriend. 3 separate times. Okay, 3 separate times. I followed a spirit in the kitchen. No one was there. Absolutely. Absolutely. You'll absolutely have that. And like I said, all of this comes with time. Just be patient with yourself. Just be so patient and realize that it's not a race. You're going to develop your spiritual abilities and have them be more defined as time goes on, but it's like working a muscle. It's when we learn a new skill, and that's another thing. Actually, I'll mention this. Um, when we're learning a new skill, you can do what's called chunking, right? And I'll explain what that means. You said, I've pressured myself to grow this month even more than I pressure myself in. It's a weird story, right? But yeah, so that's something that just know that spirits tend to visit, they tend to do their thing. It's not, and you're not saying they're negative. I do believe spirits are just kind of all around us, and sometimes we see them, sometimes we don't. Um, but primarily you can do what's called chunking, right? And what that looks like is this. So a lot of people recommend meditating for 30 minutes. And I think that's ridiculous. Okay. That's like telling someone, um, that's like telling someone who's never trained for a marathon to run a marathon. Like, just go do it. Just go run a marathon. And that doesn't sound like a very good idea to me. It really doesn't. So what you can do instead, if we're focusing on developing an ability, is the first thing we can do is we can learn about it. We can have that be something we do, maybe for a week, maybe for 2. We're just kind of learning about it. We're not practicing it. We're just letting ourselves absorb information, kind of being in that phase of just absorbing things, learning. The second thing is when we're trying to do whatever it is we want to do, we set aside time to practice, but we don't set aside a ton of time. We set aside maybe 30, maybe 10 minutes if we're doing like an exercise with somebody or we're doing something. And a lot of this can be done online. You can use Facebook, and there's tons of groups that you can go into, and you can work with people online that are usually very kind and they help you grow. And you can do this for free. A lot of the time, you don't have to pay for classes. But so the meditation thing that I was talking about, if we're looking at that, if we're looking at the meditation thing, try doing 5 seconds at first. Try meditating and clearing your mind for 5 seconds, okay? When you're able to do that on a consistent basis, try it for 10. Then try it for 15. What I'm saying is when we allow ourselves to build up these skills slowly over time, we don't feel super overwhelmed. And again, perfectionism is going to make it so that we're going to be like, I need to learn this skill right now, right this second. And if I'm not perfect at it, which I won't be, I'm going to be mad at myself. I've had that same mentality. I've struggled with that too, so I understand where that comes from. But the way we get over it, the way we work through it, is to understand that we need to take time to understand something. And then when we practice it, we need to just be in that environment of learning. And when a child is learning, they just sort of absorb everything. They just understand it. As we get older, it's hard for us to get that same level of absorption, but if we allow ourselves to be like a child and we allow ourselves to just be in that environment of learning and humbling ourselves and realizing that we're not going to get it. We're going to fail many, many times, but that's part of the process. It's not the end, not even close, but it is part of the process. So hopefully that makes sense. Try doing things in small ways every day instead of doing big things, failing and then getting mad at yourself, okay? Hopefully that helps. Hopefully that gives you something to, hopefully that helps. It does take practice, but that practicing in itself is kind of like a skill, It just, again, it's all kind of a learning thing. When I was here a second ago, I felt like you had okay. But yes, I'm a guy, by the way. Okay, you're a guy. All right. Did I assume your gender? I am sorry if I did. Sometimes I can run my mouth a little bit. I was going to say, though, I feel like there's a key childhood trauma with something, maybe a parent or someone you were close to saying you were being immature or something like that. I felt like there was something there and that shut you down in some way. I was feeling like there was a sense of someone saying you're immature or someone making fun of the fact that you were childlike or someone criticizing your sensitivity. Okay, I didn't. All right, good. Good. I definitely try to be sensitive with that on this channel, so because sometimes gender identity is very, very interesting, so hold on one second. Okay. And if you want to, Sky, what we could do, um, I don't know if you have the money or the means, but we could do some one-on-one lessons on learning certain abilities if that would be something you would want to do. This would be private. This would be me and you doing sessions through Skype. I lost my older brother who taught me to when I was 2. He was 14. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that, Sky. There can definitely be some kind of wounding around there. Psychic wounds, which is what I feel like that would be. Those take some time, and you kind of have to take your time and look at those, and understand that. But the important thing is taking your time. But we could do private lessons, or if that would be something you'd want to do, or we can do some energy healing. You traumatic mutism. Okay. All right, so you didn't talk for a long time. That makes sense. Quiet, socially weird, but also very emotional too. And all of that, right? All of that is something that. Okay. If that's something you want to do, we can work on developing certain abilities. It'll take some time, but I can teach. I've got quite a bit of material that we can kind of go through. Don't have it here with me, but we would just be focusing on kind of developing the basics and then working on some more enhanced things. So if that would be something you'd like to do, we could set that up. You can email me. I think my email's down below, and let me know if you're interested. And the reason why I ask for an email is because I want to know if you're actually interested. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking to people and they're kind of wishy-washy with it, and I don't want to pressure them. So if you email me, then I know for sure you are interested, and then we can kind of talk from there. It'll be more expensive than what we did here, because I'll be doing probably anywhere from half hour to an hour long class, and you'll be able to ask questions and learn in that kind of way. And we can do Zoom or Skype or whatever you would feel comfortable using as like a video messenger. Or if you just want to do audio for you, you could do that. I just want you to know there's options, and then we can develop on that. So, and the reason I'm bringing that up, that whole thing, is I'm thinking I'm going to call it good for the night. But I wanted to let you know that if you want to go further, if you want to develop, we can focus on that. We can work on that, and then we can also do energy healing exercises too. That's going to be a big one, because you do have that. Awesome. Perfect. Awesome. So think about what it is you'd want to learn. My guides that I have, they specialize in psychic ability, tarot cards, some mediumship. I'm still learning mediumship. I need to get in the flow more with that. Energy healing, okay? And basically, if we any of the clairs that you want to talk about, claircognizance, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairalliance, all of the clairs, okay? So whatever it is you'd want to learn, we can go from there, or I can just start you off with what I feel like would be the best. It's up to you. You get to guide this session, but ultimately, in a mentor-student relationship, I'm going to be learning from you. You're going to be learning from me, right? It's a give and take. And I want you to understand that I'm not above you. I'm not above you in any way, but I understand the path a little bit more. And so I'm going to take you on that path, and we'll discover new things together. Every person I've worked with in this way, I think I've learned more about psychic ability than they've learned from me. That's what I feel personally. But yeah, it's a journey, it's a process, and then we can focus on helping you develop. And I'm saying we because I'm talking about my guides. We can focus on helping you develop in a way that is coherent, right? In a way that makes sense, where you don't feel like you're flailing about, so to speak. Yeah. But thank you for letting me do the reading for you. Okay, I want to say that right now. I really enjoyed doing that. Connecting psychically with your energy, to me, was a treat. Okay, your energy is not anything negative. And I want to say this right now, Sky. You're not too much. You're not too much to handle. You're not this person that, and I feel like maybe that's something people have told you in the past, but you're not. You're someone who I feel like is very kind, very sweet. And again, we can develop this together if that's something you're wanting to do. So do you have any questions before I go, Sky? And please don't feel, I'm not in a rush, so if you think you want to do that. You're very welcome, Sky. You're new to the channel too, and I wanted you to feel like I was involved and I was present with you. So that was another reason, but I also enjoy spiritual questions. Those are probably my favorite ones. But you let me know, you have any questions? I can stay here for a little bit longer. We can talk and we can go, down that road a little bit more. Oh, okay. Hold on 1 second. Alrighty. So awesome, Sky. I'm glad you're grateful. I'm glad. Seems to be what my guides like to do, is to help. You've had spiritual friends a long time. And spiritual friends are pretty nice, honestly. I've had them too. I'm more of a loner than I'd care to admit, but Facebook. Okay. There's a lot you can learn on those platforms. Facebook groups is what I'm talking about for developing some stuff. I'm really smart and have done some awesome things. Well, that's good. See that right there. I like the confidence. I like the confidence. Do you feel because I'm okay? I see what you're saying. So you haven't had a I can understand that. I can understand that. I've lacked masculine figures. Okay, I can understand that. And the divine feminine, right? Definitely teaches in a different way than the divine masculine. Both are incredibly useful, and I know you're not saying one over the other, but if I can help you with that, that's something I would love to do, right? So I can definitely help with that and focus on development, right? And sometimes with psychic teachers or with other mentors, feminine or not, feminine or masculine, there can be a sense of, I am very earthy. Okay, so let me explain it to you, Sky. So nothing in my chart. I am nothing but earth signs, all of them, and air signs, all of them. I jokingly say I'm a fart in the wind. That's all I am. And then I have 1 degree in my astrology. I have 1 degree in Pisces somewhere. There's no fire in my chart at all. There's hardly any water. It's like 1 degree or 2 or something like that. And then the rest is nothing but air and earth. It's all of them. But yeah. So the earthiness, I think I get from the Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo. Yeah, it's interesting, but there's duality there, right, that I struggle with. Sometimes I'm too practical, and other times I'm way up in the clouds. So I've had to learn to balance, and I'm still learning. I don't think that's going to be something that I'll ever fully master, right? But yeah, so I just wanted to say that. But I appreciate that you let me do this for you and you were sharing yourself because I can understand. Um, I'm like 50-ish% mutable, mostly earth and fire. So see that's the part, the mutable signs, the non, that stuff like that. That's the part I don't understand. That's where my knowledge. I know sun, moon, and rising. And then I had my birth chart done, right? And that's all I know. I wish I could be that person. Um, yeah, I'm horrible at astrology. I know other things, it's not that. So if anyone's taken an astrology class from me, they're going to be very disappointed because uh, I don't know. I really don't. I do more in the practical psychic side, right? I can tell you've read a lot of astrology, and that's awesome. See, to have an interest, to have a specialty, that's really good because when I try to read astrology, it is like speaking another language. Well, then that's good. If you can easily explain it, that's going to make you a good teacher with it. Um, the best thing you can do is to explain a complex topic in a simple way, and then you're a teacher. That's it. That's all you need to be able to do. You need to have good people skills too. I mean, to a degree, but mutable is Virgo, Gemini, and Pisces. Okay. Okay. So okay. I know there's mutable, and this is literally all I know. I think there's mutable and there's fixed. And then is there two other ones? I can't remember. Anyway, um, but the whole thing that I'm trying to say here is that I teach more of the practical psychic side. I may be a man, right? But I teach the divine feminine psychic abilities. I could teach the divine masculine psychic abilities, but there's not really a reason, right? Fixed or stubborn cardinal, which is starters. Okay. Okay. Um, but primarily, Sky, what I teach is I help define the subtle psychic world. I help to make that less mysterious. There's been so much media that skewed what psychic ability actually is that we can focus on making it into something that we can focus on, right? We can actually make it something that seems attainable instead of this weird haze-like figure, right? It becomes more defined. And so I teach taking the divine feminine psychic abilities, which is subjective, right? Hey Char, if you would like, we can do a reading. I do charge $10 for one question, but trust me, you'll get your money's worth. Um, but yeah, so I teach the subjective. Thank you, Char. I appreciate the subscription. But the subjective world is like it's our world. Like only we're seeing it. Some psychics can both see the same thing, but generally the psychics live in a subconscious kind of world, and that's where the psychic information comes from. The divine masculine is objective psychic ability, like telekinesis, aerokinesis, things like that. And I haven't yet found a reason why anyone would want to do that, right? Aerokinesis and things like that. They're interesting. It's kind of cool, but it's like it's not a. I just don't see the reason for it. I focused on objective a long time. I see. Yeah, so the divine feminine is mediumship, psychic ability, like being able to read auras and stuff like that. And then you have energy healing, And like I said, that's kind of the areas that I'm attuned with, at least at this point in time in my life. Um, Sometimes you go through different phases, and it's easier for you to understand different parts of the psychic world. But either one is possible. But in my opinion, I feel like some people are more attuned to being um, right. So, and exactly. So, Sky, if we're talking about doing stuff like that, you do see that there's not really like you can do it, right? But try and do it at a party. Try to be that person, and it's not necessarily possible here. Oh, thank you, Char. Okay, so hold on one second. So ask your question, Char, and we can go into that. Okay, so while I'm waiting for Char's question here, a 30-minute sesh we could probably do I think we could do about 40 for 30 minutes, depending on what it is you would want to learn. We can do that. I can offer package deals too, where it wouldn't be, each one wouldn't be 40. It would be a little bit less. But thank you, Sky. You're very sweet. Again, I appreciate that. But yeah, so that's something that we could do. We could do an hour for 50 if you'd want to do that. We could do an hour-long session, so that would be another $10 for another 30 minutes. It's up to you, though. Hello, I wanted to know what is going to happen with me and my BF Isaiah. I'm moving to a different area. Okay, so let's look at that. Let's, sorry, just let me stretch here. Let's do this, and let's focus on some cards here. Okay, so these right here, these are the True Love Tarot. I believe that's what they're called. So let's see. Let's look at what cards we get here. Let's focus and see what we can get here for Char. So Char is saying what is going to happen with her boyfriend Isaiah because she is moving to a different area. Let's look. Let's do a couple more pieces here. Okay. Okay, so Char, here's something I'm getting. First thing I'm getting is the distorted feminine in reverse. So that's not necessarily bad. Here's what it looks like upright. So when we see the distorted feminine in reverse, I'm wondering about this. So fill me in, right? If this makes sense to you or if it doesn't. So your boyfriend, when you say you're moving to a different area or you're doing something, how does he feel? How does he feel about you moving to a different area? Because when I see the distorted feminine in reverse, I'm wondering if maybe something happened where, did you give him enough time to have a response, or did you tell him something way ahead of time, or did you kind of spring it on him that you were moving or you were thinking of moving? I do ask questions, just so you guys know. I want to connect with you guys. I'm getting used to looking in the camera. It's been interesting. Okay, so I'll just read the rest of this here. So then we have this card. This is inner peace right here. And then we have this one, okay? Okay, that's what I was thinking. It felt like it was unexpected or like something was quickly moving forward. So that makes sense. The inner peace here, I feel like this is your energy where it's like you knew this was coming. I feel like maybe you're thinking he's making a big deal out of it, or maybe you're thinking it seems kind of weird, it seems kind of like a weird situation. But that's what I'm feeling here. The inner peace with you, I feel like it's you accepting that this has to be the way it is. It's kind of like you're saying, okay, if this is how it has to be, but you've had more time to think of this. So it makes sense that you would be at peace with it, right? That makes sense that you would be at peace with it. Here's the interesting part, though. So let's get to the original question here. You said you wanted to know what was going to happen to your boyfriend Isaiah moving to a different area. So this is the card we get here. Yin and yang in reverse, okay? Duality construct, male, female, black, white, that whole thing, night, day, right? That's the duality. When this is in reverse, in my honest opinion, Char, I feel like there's going to be a fallout. I feel like there's going to be a fall apart. I'm not sure when, but it does feel like it's not going to be something that's going to last. The long distance part of it feels, or the moving to a different area might be something that puts a strain on the relationship. And the only reason I'm saying that, yin and yang in reverse, is duality, male and female. I feel like there's going to be some discordance. There's going to be parts where you guys don't mesh together, and possibly the reason you might feel inner peace right here is maybe where you're going there could be new experiences, or there could be something where that could be something, but I'm not feeling like he's going to handle it well. I don't feel like he's going to handle it very well. It feels like yeah, it just feels like there's going to be some discordance, some fighting, some kind of, hopefully that makes sense what I'm saying. I feel like it'll work for a second. I don't feel like it's going to be long term. Yeah. Does that help, Char? I mean, feel free to say something, if you want to. I can understand, Char. You guys have been together. I will say this, okay? What I'm seeing does not mean it has to come to pass. Maybe you can change the outcome, because whatever I'm seeing, it is not concrete. I want you to know, and any tarot reader on any channel or psychic or anything that you watch, whatever they're saying, it is not concrete. Okay? There's things we can do to make it happen, and there's things we can do to make it not happen. If you're opening up communication, you're talking to them, telling them what to expect, that can be something that helps the situation. It doesn't mean the relationship's going to end. It does mean, though, it looks more likely like it's going to end, or like there's going to be something other than distance that separates you. That's the only thing. If you guys communicate, you talk things through, I think it could last. But if you guys get lax and you just leave the relationship the way it is, I feel like things can fall apart. So it doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it means there's a good likelihood from what I'm seeing in the cards. Thank you, Sky, for the extra 5. I appreciate that, my friend. Yeah, you let me know if you want to move forward with doing those private sessions, because we can absolutely do that. Yeah, so Char, I also want to say this. You seem very sweet. You seem very kind. You seem like a good person. Okay, um, never never ask a question to a psychic where the answer could be no. I Because that's just setting us ourselves up, right? But I feel like you can make it work. What I'm saying is not the truth. It's a version of the truth that exists in the future. So please don't take it as like it's going to happen. There's things you can do. So I'm going to try to be positive through it. Perfect. That's going to help more than anything. Be positive through it. And if anything else happens, okay? So Char, let's have this be a scenario. If anything happens where maybe this relationship, something does happen to it, still be positive through it. Still look at it as a learning opportunity. Don't tie yourself down too much. Let yourself experiment. Let yourself kind of go out there and see what the world has to offer. If this does, if the relationship doesn't last, view it as kind of an opening of an opportunity eventually when, if that's the case. Because I feel like you have this kind of curiosity about the world. You have a sense of wanting to understand things, and maybe some people don't see the world the same way you do. So this could be a new start. This could be something that could actually be really good. I got this card. I got the inner peace card. I feel like you're more comfortable with change than most people. I feel like you're someone who adapts to it, or you're someone who understands that certain things have to happen. Um, so you're adaptable. Let me put it that way. Um, so hopefully, Char, that helps. Makes sense. Yeah, the inner peace makes sense then. Um, so yeah, have this be a time of, let's call it active reflection, where it's kind of like you're reliving the nostalgia, but you're also going to be putting your own spin on living back in a place where you've already been. So that's something you can look forward to. Putting that little special sauce on everything. That's going to help you. Okay, so I'm thinking that answers the questions here for tonight. Thank you guys so much for coming out and supporting the channel. And Char, thank you for the subscription. Anyone else watching, if you guys want to subscribe, really appreciate it. Hit that like button, because apparently YouTube is going to get rid of everything soon. And yeah, so I'm just kidding, but there's a whole debacle there. You're very welcome, Char. Thank you for letting me do the reading for you. I appreciate that, my friend. All right, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you guys on Monday, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I don't know the other time zones, but it's definitely 8 p.m. for me. So I'll see you guys there. Everyone take care. I really appreciate you guys for helping to support the channel. And I will see you guys Monday, 8 p.m. Toodaloo, everybody.